Crystal of Atlan is a magic punk MMO ARPG with 3D mini dungeons, where players become part of the Adventurers Guild and dive into the world of Atlan to uncover the mysteries of crystals, the energy source powering the world. Atlan is a floating world of magic and machinery. After the second Magitech revolution, magic had become an indispensable energy source, and with the discovery of the crystal, a source of limitless magical power, adventurers have become entangled in a grand conspiracy. A turbulent magic tech metropolis, a creeping decay, and outsiders arriving from beyond. We as adventurers have been set the task to face the chaos, purify the world, and uncover the secrets of crystals to bring peace to Atlan. So no pressure. The developers were kind enough to sponsor me for this first impressions first look at video. I spent quite a bit of time with it whilst it was in its closed beta stages, trying out all of the different game modes, progressing through the main story, and playing as the Warlock class. FYI, I was playing on a dedicated PC client, which is crossplay between mobile, Android, and iOS, and it should also be releasing on PlayStation as well. So I'm going to endeavour to give you a pretty comprehensive overview of the different classes, their specializations, and the different game modes that you have access to, what you can do, what it all means, how the game actually feels. And after all of that, if you are interested, you can pre-register for Crystal of Atlan now. By signing up, you can claim exclusive rewards, unlock early access, the link is in the description. We'll talk about it more in a bit as well. The first decision that you have to make, often one that we lament over, which class should you play? There are 4 classes with 2 specializations each, so kind of 8 classes, but not really. It is 4 with 2 distinct sort of playstyles. And here you're going to get a pretty good glimpse of how the game actually plays, its action RPG vibes. All real time, I'm playing with a controller on a PC client, super fast paced, flashy and fun. Up first we have the tried and tested, true classic swordsman, which blends strength with agility as it defeats enemies with their trusty sword. The first specialization being the Magi Blade, using a smaller one-handed sword which seems very quick, high mobility moves firing off beams of light with big AoEs, seems really good with crowd control with taking on multiple enemies, which is an important element of the game as well. Just looks all round super flashy and really fun. And for its other specialization there's the Berserker, which seems to have more of like an evil affinity intrinsically. It isn't necessarily, it might just be tapping into dark forces. Using a bigger sword, more like a greatsword, mostly one-handed as well, with the gameplay appearing to be much more single target focused for this class, while still having AoE attacks and group skills. It leans heavily on a high risk, high reward style of gameplay, where the Berserker deals much higher damage at lower HP, introducing a very unique element of managing your HP for this class. Up next we have another classic archetype. We've got the Musketeer, a masterful gunslinger, the perfect choice for taking out enemies from afar, a ranged running and gunning option. Its first specialization is the Bounty Hunter, using dual pistols with very high mobility and agility, flipping all over the place with very high uptime, constant rapid firing, whilst also being on the move, maintaining that mobility. Its combo count directly affects its damage output, so stacking up combo count in advance will maximize damage with skills. A pretty interesting playstyle. Its other specialization, the Gunner, has traded in the twin pistols for a much larger, chunkier gun, firing all manner of missiles, plasma grenades, even turning into a flamethrower, packing a punch with very high firepower at the trade-off for lesser mobility. It has a really interesting mechanic with a heat gauge, where you need to balance heat increasing and heat decreasing skills to ensure effective usage of the class. Another classic archetype here, we've got an attacking mage style of class, the Magister, overwhelming their enemies and dominating the battlefield with terrifying magic. This was the class that I started with. The first specialization is the Elementalist, building on top of what the Magister already started with, all these cool different magical skills, with really cool additional elemental abilities, huge flame columns firing out, lightning blasts, ice shards. It has unique thunder cores, allowing the class to go into a different form and effectively reducing the cooldown on all of its other skills. The other advancement is the Warlock, which is the specialization that I picked. Definitely a case of tapping into dark forces here. This umbral, arcane kind of death magic vibe it has. Very edgy and badass. It does have group group skills, but it does feel more single target focused, and plays around with stacking a debuff on enemies, which you rip out for big damage when it's at maximum stacks. And lastly, we have the Puppeteer, a summoner style archetype here, where the adventurer fights alongside their marionette. This seems like a really cool class which actually dishes out a ton of damage, but the Scythe Guard is actually more of a support character. It can buff teammates to increase their damage, and also, super importantly, it can also heal them. In addition to having support functions, it clearly dishes out pain. When I do get around to a second character, I'm pretty certain it's going to be this. Its alternate specialization, the Blade Maiden, is really interesting as you use your marionette to mirror your attacks, to kind of sandwich enemies into a double serving of Puppeteer madness, relying heavily on positioning, balancing between close and long range. Whilst you do start off with a standardized appearance of these characters, appearance customization is a feature of the game. From very early on, you can speak to CC in Lumiville, who will allow you to customize your character's appearance, different color schemes of outfits, different face types, eyes, your hair color, your skin tone. You can really make it your own, which is fantastic. What I love about this core appearance customization is it's basically free. You can do it as many times as you like at any point, and it costs you a negligible amount of the in-game currency, a couple of gold, so feel free to switch it up whenever you fancy a change. Here's where you can also customize your outfits with specific dyes, using up a more premium consumable which isn't as easy to get a hold of. Outfits are a pretty big part of the game, because although they take up separate slots, they do actually add to your stats. You don't have to have them visible, you can have all of the pieces visible, it's up to you, but they are essentially additional gear. Same with the titles hovering above your character. You get these through various means just by playing the game, progressing this game's version of a battle pass, the adventure pass I believe it was, event rewards, getting lucky with the summons, all sorts of different methods. So you don't have to worry about everyone looking like one of 4 different characters. There are plenty of ways to customize your appearance and make yours look unique. Onto the core bread and butter gameplay. You'll spend much of the time going through the story stages, taking on groups of enemies, exploring different in-game mechanics, and encountering many bosses. Playing through this is your core character progression. It's how you'll be leveling up, how you'll be gearing up, further unlocking more regions and functionality as you go, as many of the game's core systems and content is locked behind certain levels. These stages are instances that you're teleported over to, functioning like a theme park MMO would, that have their standard story difficulty, but also the elite difficulty you can do afterwards for additional better rewards, including stronger gear and more experience. Running any of these uses up some of your energy, which is this game's stamina system. By leveling up, you will increase your character's stats, get access to higher level gear, and also unlock skill points as you're going, which you'll use, of course, to unlock your various skills, power them up, and you can freely switch between whenever you like. In fact, creating skill builds is a very important part of the game, and a further expression of your character's customization. You have 4 primary skill slots, and then 4 secondary skill slots which you have access to after using the first skill, essentially giving you 8 different skills, and then your ultimates, your finishers, your standard one, and then your awakening. Anytime you want to test out the individual skills or your overall build, you can just head over to the training area, whack the training dummy, and even go through the tutorials and be rewarded for doing so you can better understand how your abilities actually work and when you might want to use them. The combat's all about achieving high, flashy combo chains, stringing together all of your different skills, keeping enemies pinned down, locked into aerial combos as well, so you can unleash absolute devastation with your character of choice. Of course, you don't have complete free reign to constantly beat up enemies. There's an armor system, they have hyper armor, they will be immune to constantly being juggled all the time, but they'll also have windows where this drops when you've broken through their armor, and you can really go to town on them. In addition to the story quests, some of the other content that you have access to includes the Duel of Bonds, where you have one-on-one fights versus the main characters that you encounter during the story in an epic 1v1 kind of boss style, kind of PvP-esque encounter. These can be pretty tough, but you do get really nice rewards for your first completion versus each character. There's also ranked PvP you can participate in, both solo 1v1 and team battles as well, which uses slightly different mechanics from your usual PvE fighting. You've got an overall energy bar that gets depleted each time you use a skill, and once it's empty you can only do basic attacks and you'll need to wait for it to get replenished. There's also an additional protection system so you don't get perma-juggled, allowing you to gain control back if you've taken a big combo and quite a beating. I played solo PvP a bunch, I had a really fun time with it. I'm 99% sure I was only up against bots though, so maybe it eases you into it at bronze tier 3, giving you easier bot opponents so you can get used to it before actually matching you up with other players. Or maybe there was no one else available at the time, I'm not too sure. There's quite a bit of group content you can do, including the Void Realm, which is sort of like a mini dungeon up against a super boss. The first of which you'll actually have to complete as part of a quest line in order to unlock your awakening finisher. Here I was taking on groups of enemies, and then I had an optional section to actually fight the battle axe by itself. If you choose to do so and you beat it, you get this very strong buff to help you take on the boss. Even though it's optional, you're going to want to go and do the additional fight to take on the buff because the boss is made with the buff in mind. It's probably going to be really tough without it. You can get really powerful items, components, and gear itself from running the Void Realm. It'll definitely power up your character, and it seems to be a core part of the game. Like the story quests, this also takes up energy to participate in. Seemingly any content that awards experience and upgrading of gear will cost you stamina. There's also 8-player dungeon content you can participate in, like the Hex Chest challenge they have. I didn't get to it because you need to be level 60, but it looks really cool. They've actually got some footage of it themselves. Definitely my sort of content that I love participating in. I'm all about co-op multiplayer style gameplay like dungeons, so this is something I'm super looking forward to. They do have other content available. There's various events you can participate in during certain times. They've even got a guild system, their fleet system, which also has additional content tied to it. But I think this is a pretty good overview of what the game is like, what you can expect from it in this comprehensive first impressions. As mentioned at the start, pre-registration is available for Crystal of Atlan. You can sign up to claim exclusive rewards and unlock early access. The link is in the description. Did you hit up the closed beta at all? Are you going to be checking this one out? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Another massive thank you to the devs for sponsoring this first impressions video. If you enjoyed it, you can leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.